Hello and welcome to this Mobalytics video. My name is Virkayu and I am a master tier jungle main and run my own League of Legends YouTube channel focusing on guides, tutorials, and helping you improve. In this second video partnered with Mobalytics, our collaboration will take us from dragons to looking at some fundamental tips and tricks all junglers should know about pathing, vision, ganking, and some specific champion mechanics that would be good to know when facing or playing as these popular and strong junglers. If you enjoy this Virkalytics video, please consider liking and subscribing to our channels, and also comment below what further topics you might want covered. Now, some of these tips might seem quote-unquote easy to you, but the reality is that most of you junglers, roaming supports, and laners are lazy. That's right, I said it, you are lazy. The concept of rewards-based thinking drives you more so than doing what is correct at all times, developing those good habits. The best junglers have consistent habits and ones that start with tight, accurate, and vision-aware pathing like this ELISE. You will notice she does get spotted by the roaming ward from the enemy top lane rumble, but maintains tight vision to the wall heading around the back of mid lane. This is because vision influence of a ward in the side mid lane bush is extremely limiting and not really recommended. Understanding the extent of vision influence and lane states is the epitome of jungle pathing, and most junglers are just too lazy to use it at all times, counter jungling, ganking, what have you. In this scenario, even though she was seen by the top laner who pinged it out, she surprised both the enemy jungler and the enemy mid laner. Even in a challenger game like this, trades, farming, map scouting can cause you to miss subtle bits of information when they show up on the minimap. You can see her approach from the Yasuo's perspective, and the non-reaction from both him and Echo showed you that Rumble's warnings and pings were completely ignored. Yeah, she misses the cocoon but still manages to burn down the kill and follows this with a nice kill on the Echo. But let's look specifically at what she did that only ELISE could do to make sure she got the double. Her W cast, the Spiderling, is clearly too far away from her target and will 100% explode before striking its venomous waste all over Echo's fresh true damage merch. ELISE knows this, Echo knows this, so before his E-dash comes back up, ELISE flashes and Qs in order to secure that damage, but really she only does it so that the W is commanded to go and land on the target. The venomous bite will cause the Spiderling to lock on and fly to the target that was bitten and, explode. And you see that glorious kamikaze spider show Echo a really bad time, giving ELISE 2 early kills. Many times inexperienced ELISE players will let their W expire when they simply need some directing. Couple this with invaluable knowledge of using plant and recently placed wards, etc. to navigate the map more efficiently using her spider's repel, and suddenly you can tell the difference between a pro ELISE and a rubber toy used to scare your sister. Now let's circle back. I mentioned the terms efficiency, tight pathing, vision influence. If you want to gank in Season 10 with a high success rate, which we do considering how poor we are now as junglers, understanding and paying attention to where wards are will greatly enable roams and fights in your favor. Here the ELISE knows there is a control ward in the top side, especially after her early gank she saw it was placed, and so heads to the top for a dive with a Malphite after he proactively pushed the enemy Echo out of his jungle. She activated her scanner so knows there's no vision, she knows where there is vision in the river, so both her and Malphite use this blind spot and the fact that the enemy jungler was shoved away to navigate towards the mid from the red jungler side and secure themselves another gank on the mid lane. These pockets of darkness really do allow you to make it look like a mid laner is feeding. I've even had videos where people will comment on the jungler that I'm doing a video on and say that, he got free kills, the mid laner was inting, they don't count. Well, that's just a bit disingenuous to the jungler, isn't it? He was using different approaches and pathings and situations to gank at those unique angles, such that it looks like the enemy laner is feeding, but in reality, you're just being a good jungler. Now, I also mentioned to be fast and efficient as a jungler, as we all try to do, but remember that the ELISE we first used was seen by the Rumble after doing a buff gromp buff clear. What if she was a bit quicker with that process? What if she was able to head towards the mid lane prior to detection and there was perhaps wards somewhere else? This would be more beneficial if you're trying to remain hidden for early ganks, for early invades. So what I mean by this is, and I won't get too technical about it because it's very specific to each champion that you play, just as a clearing principle, try at the very least begin the gromp before your blue is finished. Try and chain them together to some degree. There are spots and tricks you can do this with Evelynn very easily. Some champions will have a rough time, but the idea is pulling out the gromp. If you're ranged, of course it's much easier, and finishing the camps together with AoE like the Evelynn does here, and then proceeding to gank on the mid lane. High elo junglers are meta because of their ability to clear fast and gank faster, before laners have the time to set everything up. If you can, even in the most basic sense, drag that gromp out and sequence it with your blue. You're saving time and allowing yourself the possibility for big plays. JARVAN is such a big play specimen, and in this case is doing the same clear. Fast Grump and Boo sequence, let some time and invade an enemy Lee Sin, and at the last second do a tilt-inducing spear to sneak that away. If he doesn't kite his camps, if he just does Blue and Grump individually, then Lee Sin takes the blue, gets level 3 before JARVAN arrives. This huge play sets him up for a tower dive on the top lane, where he does something that most J4s really don't, an EQ flash combo. You really don't see enough of it, even from high elo JARVAN mains. Obviously, it isn't something you want to do unless you believe there's a high chance of killing the target, because it's kind of a frivolous use of your flash. And unfortunately in this case, the Skarn is able to escape, burning his flash though. Flash just before you arrive at your flag to complete the drag, and the knockup will go wherever your flash lands on the target. Why is this useful? If you need to chain CC together, if you need the knockup to burn the flash so you can RAD afterwards, and most importantly, if you like doing those level 2 cheese ganks, very good on low MMRs, burning any flash early either through invades or your ganks will open the door for a JARVAN EQ flash combo and guaranteed kill. Much like ELISE, knowing these little things can allow you to make plays you otherwise couldn't, and adhering to good pathing and efficiency blue Grump clears and general camp kiting shaves time off your early game so that you can come out on top. Now, consider the sphere of influence of vision, which has been a core part of the video so far, and let's take it a little bit further and talk about the pixel bush. You can very clearly see the gap in vision as you approach this bush. You can see the difference in your vision if you approach from either the left or the right. Now let's look at that from the enemy's point of view. Notice where they can see you pathing and where they cannot. Approaching pixel bushes from the side such that your character is hidden can lead to many outplays in the river, and when you have the 200 IQ brain tracker that the enemy does not, traps can be set and executed. In this case, I am on, because apparently I just cannot play meta junglers. I'm following up after seeing an enemy Vi on the top side, and as I saw her thanks to my vision that she was doing crab, I used a blind spot behind the bush such that she would not see me approach, and in turn, she dies. Simple, effective, and very annoying. And notice how I use tight wall pathing in the follow-up counter jungling. As per our first tip, you always want to avoid vision, even if it's just to go steal camps. Now we have a Taliyah rotating down to a fight. Obviously the enemy team has nowhere to go because they're low, they're trying to retreat, but she uses the shadow behind the pixel bush to really surprise him and picks up 2 more kills from that fight. Yeah, it's Challenger and they probably knew she was there, but you have to realize that teams in fights won't pick up every rotation, won't pick up every little vision cue when they're trying to survive or busy in a very big trade. If this can happen in Challenger, it 100% will happen way more often for you. Look from the Leona's perspective. All her cooldowns were up, they didn't have vision in the bush, so she just got picked up first. And this is the point I'm trying to make to you. All these examples have had, yeah, they should have known, yeah, they should have seen her, but these junglers still do these practices regardless. You must have good habits and do these things all the time because you never know when that advantage is gonna be so big. There's literally no downside to doing it, but only positives. Let's look at this echo gank where it shows when you don't go exactly down the middle. Let's join in mid gank. Wait. Pause the video. Did you see that Q? That Q missed everything. Ganking with echo is none too difficult, but you must understand EQ or the QE combo when combined with flash and items. This is what differentiates good echoes from bad echoes. Using E1, Q, and then E2 is what gives you the shortest window for burst in those early level 3 ganks, but obviously requires you to hit the target, which unfortunately our example echo did not. The classic way echoes play is just using E1, E2, and then use your Q, but here you run the risk of giving a window of time for the enemy to dash or flash away from the second proc or even first proc, and basically you don't want to lose that slow and damage. You are much less likely to miss any damage when you use the Q between your E's, because as you arrive, so does the proc of the Q. Don't forget you also have the possibility of using this with protobelts, flashes, and so on to maximize your burst damage, but just keep that in mind when you're ganking with echo. Using your Q properly will guarantee you these kills in a safer and better way. If we hop back into our gank here, you'll see that the JARVAN chases while not using the shadow provided by the pixel bush. Even if this play would have happened exactly the same way had he done that, it's vital you adhere to these good habits because not being seen is our greatest asset as a jungler. If the echo doesn't see the J4 there because he approaches the pixel bush in the right way, I'm sure there is a universe where there exists the possibility that, especially in lower and mid MMRs, that the echo will assume you left, maybe you went back to base, the top laner won't rotate, and so lets his guard down and then you can get a 1v1 kill, or at the very least a crab. Slide the page, this Olaf shows the exact same thing here as he sets a bug trap to surprise his enemy Kha'Zix and ends up chasing down a kill thanks to the help of a Senna after he missed his flash Q. But the follow-up of the Kha'Zix Olaf sequence reveals the importance of vision stacking to create chained vision areas. One ward lets you see a lot when placed properly, 2 wards chained together, much more. Consider the approaches and what jungler you are facing. Olaf has no map scaling, so is quite limited in terms of that fact. Without the plant, he can only leave and enter the river through those entrances that are warded. Unfortunately for this situation, the Kha'Zix isn't there to collapse. I mean, isn't that the way, right? The one time the Yasuo rotates and you have mid lane prior, you're in base. Regardless, the Kha'Zix saw the Olaf go to do the Krugs, and as such heads to the bottom side to start the dragon. Pause. He was not seen until the ward in the pit was placed and scanned and revealed him. Which, by the way, if we rewind even further, Kha'Zix would have seen on his map if he was paying attention. Even though he missed it, his approach was undetected. How did he do that? Pathing tight to the wall, pathing the loop, everything we've said, can be used to go around scuttle vision. Even when there is vision in the bottom lane bush, look at that shadow gap. If there's no vision, you can just use that little crease to go and have a gank in the bottom lane. If you're trying to do the dragon, you can follow it along and then jump into the pit, which is why he used his E to avoid that detection. Obviously, paying attention to vision control in the pit is tantamount to this kind of play. If you walk around in front of the pit, you will be detected, so make sure you can either have a ranged ability to pull the dragon out, or you have map scaling to get in. We did do a video together, Mobalytics and Virkayu, on advanced dragon securing tips, so you can watch that if you want more. But obviously, if it wasn't warded and knowing that Olaf was on Krugs, he would have been able to sneak that dragon thanks to good vision, chained vision, smart pathing, and heads up play. Sadly, he was detected, so we can close this video with you enjoying a nice messy fight, all of this stemming from chained vision at that mid lane. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks to Mobalytics for having me once again. You can expect a lot more of us in the coming month. Please do like, share, and comment if you enjoyed and learned something, and subscribe if you want the best chance of reaching your goals in Season 10. I have been Virkayu, and as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial.